Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts, Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy! Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Ages of Rock, and I screwed this one up right out the bat. Good. That's 2 weeks in a row, Don. 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks.
Am I making you nervous?
No, I make myself nervous. Anyway, this is the Ages of Rock podcast, and we have Don Jamieson, comedian, rock legend, legend in his own mind, if you will. And he's going to talk tonight a little bit about Terrorizing Telemarketers 7, a project with him and Jim Florentine. How you doing, Don?
Doing great, man. I'm here at my place at the Jersey Shore. I'm trying to, take advantage of the last few weeks of summer here, out riding my bike and doing my thing. And yeah, getting ready to release this record. I'm headed to Vegas this week, so lots going on.
Wow, that sounds horrible.
It's a rough life.
I'm just going to go ahead and go into the office tomorrow and punch the clock from 7 to 4-ish, 5, and then come home.
But you know what, Don, you did for Bill tonight something special. So every time Bill hears the word Jameson, his liver goes into like super function.
I probably have had Jameson maybe twice in my whole life. So they say it's a fine what is it, a whiskey, a scotch?
Yeah, it's an Irish whiskey.
Fine Irish whiskey. So
it is.
People always ask me if I'm related to the people who make Jameson whiskey. I'm like, really? You think I'd be telling dick jokes in the comedy club night after night if my family was that rich? Come on.
No kidding. They had a little pop-up shop in downtown New York not long ago, like 2 weeks ago. Had a little distillery. They popped up in a box and was there for about 10 days. It was kind of cool. I didn't get to go. We tried to go, but didn't get to go.
They come out with a new flavor? Because that's the big thing, right? With all the whiskeys, you're gonna honey flavor and this flavor, that flavor.
Yeah, so there's a Jameson Orange, is what came out recently, and
I don't like that.
It's pretty damn good, man. It's like put that on ice. You don't even need anything else with it.
Well, they've got to give it all fruity flavors and mask the flavor of the whiskey itself so people will drink it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it does make it a nice breakfast drink. So
yeah, I have no problem. I have no problem drinking it. So I'm good.
Now we have a bunch of people who used to like cinnamon, but now they're all Fireball addicts. They're running around going
shooting it up.
That candle smells like Fireball. It's like no.
Well, we had a conversation about Boone's Farm the other day too. So there you go.
Yeah. The Boone's,
I get it.
All Boone's Farm drinkers, right?
I get a headache just even thinking about the memory of it. You know what I'm saying?
What about Mad Dog 2020?
I was about to mention that. That came up too. I was with a group of guys. We were talking about all the old stuff, and I was
When my best friend got married, we all went around in a limo the night before the wedding of all stupid things, and we went into a liquor store over there off of 41. There, that old the liquor, Lugga Jug, and we all went in and bought a bottle of something, and one asshole bought some Mad Dog, and of course it got passed around. And I'm telling you what, the next day, our wedding was rough.
Yeah, Dennis didn't tell you he was the asshole.
No, I was not the one that got that. No,
he bought the Boone's Farm strawberry flavored.
Probably.
Have you guys ever had
Lambrusco?
Have you guys ever had Wild Irish Rose?
Oh yeah.
That was the cheap booze of choice when I was a teenager.
Wow.
You drank that if you weren't classy enough to drink Mad Dog 2020ty.
You couldn't afford Mad Dog 2020.
Because it was so expensive.
No, because I was looking you up today, Don. I was looking you up, and I saw you're born in '66, so you're right at I was born in '65, Bill 65, and then Alan he's a little younger, but
I'm born in '66, dude.
You was? Oh, that's right. I
still am. Okay. Not dead
but
yet,
anyway,
so I'm gonna hang on to it for a while longer.
All this stuff didn't matter where you were at in the United States. We all drank that same stuff.
John's got a birthday coming up though, right?
Yeah.
Here in a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. I'm going to be fifth, the big 5'6". So, but I still, look, I'm still making prank call CDs for a living. So I still feel like I'm 16 at heart.
I listened to some of that today, man. I was laughing my ass
Hilarious.
off. They deserve that shit, though. They deserve every bit of it, plus some.
That's the thing. Telemarketers are the best target ever because everyone hates them. Anybody from 8 to 80 hates telemarketers. Most people are on the do not call list, and me and Florentine are on the please call list, so we can make a record. And we've done 6 of them to date, and now the 7th one's coming out on the 16th, which is on Friday. And it was time to fire up the old landline again and get recording.
So who did you nail this time?
Well, we just got, people, there's a lot of different, there's the front cover there. That's our little homage to the Ukraine.
There you go.
That's us, plowing over the telemarketer central, like they're the Ukraine and we're Russia. And that's what we do to telemarketers. We just get under their skin, we get on their nerves. And the first single, COVID Mask, is out right now, which is basically, Jim picks up the phone. The guy's trying to ask him about a mortgage, but only his brother knows how much our mortgage was. But I won't take off my COVID mask. So every time he tries to get that little piece of information about me, he all of a sudden he can't hear. And Jim's yanking his chain, telling him, he doesn't want to take his mask off. He's not vaccinated, and he heard there's a variant that you can get over the phone, so he doesn't want to give it to you, and all this stuff. And we finally drive the guy nuts.
Told me, is that the one where you told him you had to be closer? And he's like, I'm 6 feet away. And he's like, not like 6 steps. It's got to be like 6 feet. He goes, well, it's like 36 inches if it's 3 feet. If it's 3 steps. It was funny, man. It was good stuff.
We got this. Yeah, we got this telemarketer's just trying to sell us this mortgage, and now he's like, looking up like the CDC recommendations for how far we're supposed to stay apart and the vaccination rules. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens to all the calls. They just go over the top and get really absurd, and as if there isn't enough absurdity in this world. We add a little bit more, and we get revenge on because telemarketers are like the COVID of phone scams. They prey on the elderly and the vulnerable, so we get back at them.
So I wonder too, with COVID, did the telemarketing go way a lot higher because people weren't getting out? People were at home and people were calling?
I don't know. I didn't, we did this sort of like over the last 6 months. So I don't know, Jim has an extra line in his basement. So when we're not making a record, he just unplugs, the line. And then when, we're ready to fire up and record, we're like a band in the studio. Then we power back up and plug the phone back in. It starts ringing and we start recording. And, it was funny when we were doing this. We were doing one call and we were down there in the basement giggling. We were coming back up the stairs, and his 12-year-old son and his friend the same age were standing at the top of the steps listening to us. And we came up, they're like, Jim's son just looks at us and goes, "You guys are immature."
Did you say welcome to 14? It's right around the corner.
I think we found our target audience, 12 years old.
Now go get me a cold beer.
Shut the hell up.
Shut up and give me a beer and stay off my lawn, you asshole. That's funny as hell.
That's too funny.
You're immature. I mean, that's something.
Well,
though.
right.
I mean,
He's
the
right.
thing is, though, I mean, we have made. I mean, that's what we did when we were kids. You make prank phone calls. We didn't do this. Yeah. It was spinning, and we just go like this. Some
took an hour, but you could make one prank phone call.
Remember when people had to make calls like on TV or in the movies? It always took like a half hour. They had to go with the dial, and you're just sitting there waiting.
So I have a 21-year-old, and we were at a antique shop the other day, and he sees a dial phone, and I don't know that he'd ever seen one before, because he's looking at it. He goes, "How the hell do you text on this?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't text on that." I'm like, I said, "How do I do it?" Well, I guess you could, but it'd be like,
what do I got to dial to get an emoji?
Yeah,
You could text on it. It'd be like each word would take you like 35 minutes.
How do I get on my Instagram on this thing?
Yeah, we did. Like I said, well, and hell, when I first met Bill, I was single and living in an apartment with my friend, and here we are now in our after college and in our early 20s, and what do we do late night? We're on the fucking phone making prank phone calls. Just
I
like
don't think I was making prank phone calls.
Oh, we did. We would. No, but I'm saying we did though. I mean, about the time that we first met, that's what you do. I mean, that shit never leaves you.
Yeah, and we used to just do it to entertain each other. Like we go on the road, especially when we first started doing comedy. We go on the road and we have to drive like 5 hours to these awful gigs. So we used to just, make fun of. We used to goof on telemarketers and tell each other the stories. And then after like a year, the light finally went on, and I go, maybe we should start recording some of these things. If we're, if we're entertaining each other, maybe other people will like this nonsense. And so that's how we started doing it. And time was right again, man. It's a lot of chaos in the world these days, man. People need to laugh. So, these are a lot of fun, man. And just goofy shit. You can listen to it with your kids or whatever. It's all good.
So when did you make the first one? Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
When did the first one come out?
Probably like 2004, somewhere around 2003, 2004. And, we just started putting them out on our own. We're like, look, Hollywood's not looking for us. We're Jersey sixes tops. We're never going to be leading men in Hollywood. So, nobody's, really looking to put out our stuff. So we'll just do it on our own. And, over the years, man, we've gotten some good, record deals out of it. We've done a few of them with Metal Blade Records, who I do my stand-up CDs with. And then I even have our volume 5 of Terrorizing Telemarketers is on Steve Vai's label, Favored Nation. So I get 4 checks a year from Steve Vai, which is awesome.
Oh, and the cool thing is with that, you're not running 48 tracks. You're not having a whole, studio full of equipment. You're recording a phone call.
Yeah, it's a SIM card. It's a SIM card and a Radio Shack, a landline phone, and that's it. So
right. So the ones that land up on the record, I guess you have to get permission from the people that the actual call happened.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to wait a little longer to call them back because some of these
give them a little cool off time.
Yeah, we drive into some of these people so nuts that you got to wait a few days for them to relax. We had a call on, I think it was our volume 4, which is the Black Sabbath volume 4 cover, except me and Jim with telephone poles, telephones in our hands. And there's a call in there called Shotgun, where a guy literally threatens to blow our head off with a shotgun during the call because we're just making him so crazy. So that guy, we had to wait like 2 weeks to call back.
How was his reaction when you called him back? Was he over it by then, or?
Yeah, he's like, I'm quitting this fucking job. I don't give a shit anymore. And they never last. They always move on. They never last more than a few months because it's such a
shitty job.
Dead end
job.
It's
a turnover job. It's a turnover job.
Yeah.
So Don, have you had one that you really? I mean, it was just like the funniest fucking call ever, and then the guy won't give you permission, or the girl. I mean, has that happened?
No, you know what? The funniest ones, especially on this one, they all made it on. There was a couple that didn't make it on that we got releases on, but they just weren't as good. And there's 13 calls on this one. We could have squeezed them on, but most of the calls are around 3 minutes. But the last call on the album is called Fiance, and it's 18 minutes long.
Oh my God.
And it has to be 18 minutes because if you guys listen to it, you'll understand why. Because me and Jim put this guy in such a situation that he psychoanalyzes Jim and I with the precision of a licensed therapist. Like, he should have got a degree in psychotherapy after this call was over, because he broke us down bit by bit on this call, all 18 minutes of it. It's the saddest, funniest thing we ever did.
That's awesome.
That is so funny, though. You know,
Yeah, no,
I just didn't know if there was there. You know, you get somebody that maybe you embarrass so much that they're like, you know what, I'm not going to sign this shit. You know, I'm just going to let it go. But
Well, the thing is with incoming too is like if you can
'cause
actually use the calls without permission if the calls come in.
gotcha.
So that's why we usually there's some scattered on throughout the albums that we didn't get releases on, but technically we're not supposed to, but we usually do just so we don't get sued or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, other than that,
So if you called somebody else, that would be a different story. But if it's an incoming call, it's all free reign at that point. You're there.
yeah, exactly. I mean, when we started doing it, I mean, that's where Crank Anchors was kind of, that's where they got, special ed was from our CDs. They heard our stuff. Jimmy Kimmel heard our stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I love that character," and we just called him retard. But I guess he can't say it anymore, so they called him special. They gave him the name Special Ed, and that was a big thing for Florentine. So
I have a special ed story.
go ahead.
Me and a friend used to watch Crank Anchors religiously, and the episode where he got email, and every time he would get an email, I got mail, yay! I took that sound clip and put it on my computer at work. And one day, my boss came in my office and sat down and was talking to me, and a message came in, and it started doing that. And he was just like, "What the fuck was that?" But
I had bread makes me poop for a while on mine.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, the guy that I used to watch that with, I called him. I'm like, "You are not going to believe what has happened." And I think he laughed harder than I did.
I remember when Jim told me about wanting to do that special ed character, and he goes, "Yeah, they're going to recreate it with like puppets." And we both looked at each other and we're like, "This is either going to be the worst idea ever, or this is going to be huge." We couldn't tell. And it ended up being huge. And I guess they just did a couple new seasons of it, but no more special ed. We're in very sensitive times these days, fellas.
Don't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
No more of that drinking Mad Dog and saying retard or
Trust me,
people on a rotary phone.
I've had a few. The only edits in this show have been me actually, and I've said a few of those words, and I get in trouble. So I have no filter.
Well, listen. I mean, everybody's triggered by everything, but it's funny in stand-up. People are asking me like, "Is it tough? Really tough now?" Because everybody's so sensitive about everything. And I said, you know what? That's what I figured it would be like, but it really isn't. Because for like the last 2 or 3 years, all those people were coming to comedy clubs and then getting offended and walking out, or like just turning away from you, or leaving or whatever. But now they just stay home. Like those people don't come to the comedy clubs anymore. So all the people who come want to laugh, at whatever you could throw at them. So those people kind of weeded themselves out, which is good.
Now they're probably the same people that are afraid of getting COVID by walking out in public. So there you go.
No, here's a question for you
on the phone
about comedy though. Seriously, because I was looking at your through the Wikipedia stuff, and then it said that you opened for Dice for a few years. Do you think there'll be another Kennison or another? You know what I'm saying? Or that somebody that far to whatever side? I mean. I think the world needs one of those. We need another one of those people to come along,
Yeah. Well,
just kind of shake up shit.
Yeah, I think guys like Bill Burr and Louis C.K. are still pushing the envelope, and they sell out, Madison Square Garden and arenas like that. So, I think those guys are sort of the next wave of it. And listen, I'm in my 50s. But I still want to appeal to young people too. Like I'll talk about all this woke stuff that's going on, all the language and the pronouns and all that stuff. But I want people who believe in that stuff to laugh at. I still want them to be jokes. I'm not trying to. I did a show in New York City last week, and it was nobody over 25, and I go, oh boy, they're gonna hate me. But I've approached it a certain way, and I just try to make the stuff funny for everybody, even if you sort of are like, yeah, he's talking about us, but okay, it is pretty funny, So I think people, there's still people out there who will laugh at edgy stuff, and like I said, guys like Burr and 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 Rogan, of course. People are laughing all of that stuff, man. And those guys sell a lot of tickets. So yeah, and Dice still has his crowd. So all the years I went out with Dice, so that was Comedy University right there, man.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like I say, it's one of those things where it'd be, you just didn't know if something would come along. But there, like I said, like you said, there's a lot of great comedians out there right now, and it's just, But
there's also a lot more exposure than there used to be. I mean, YouTube and
That's
all
true.
that stuff now, and you can follow everybody on every grandma thing, whatever, Insta, whatever. And
a lot of the
you
ones
can find some funny. I mean, I'm not kidding. I sit around at night. We got the TV on. And both of us are buried in our phones, and I'm usually watching car crashes or some of that shit.
porn, midget porn.
Nope.
So you were watching my act.
Yeah. I'm usually watching car crashes
yeah.
or comedians because it's some funny shit. Some of those guys they're just hilarious.
Yeah,
they just step in stuff.
Yeah, that's another good thing, Bill, is like because they can find you on the InstaFace or the Bookgram and all these places that people now look you up before they come, so that they're not just because years ago people just walk, they go, oh, there's a comedy show down the road, let's go down there. And then they come in, and if the comic was wild and edgy and they don't like that, they storm out of there all pissed off. And it's like, but I wouldn't go see a movie that I didn't like, that I didn't think I was going to like. I'd look it up, and see, I like superhero movies, or I don't, or whatever. Now, people could look you up and go see clips on your Instagram and go, yeah, okay, I like this kind of humor, let's go to that. So you get a lot less people who are sort of like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I actually did that a couple of weeks ago. I live here just south of Indianapolis, so I was looking at just wanting to do something different with some friends, and we talked about doing a comedy club. So I started looking at them, and I saw who was in the area. I think there's like 3 or 4 clubs up there. So I looked at a couple of them, and then I watched a couple of videos, and like, no, and it kept me. I didn't go at all. I was like, eventually I was like, no, not going. Didn't see anything that to me of the clips I saw were very funny, so it didn't work. But yeah. I think that definitely helps the crowd being able to see that kind of stuff.
Well, you need to know. I mean, when you go see a band, you've heard their songs, you've listened to them on the radio, so it wouldn't be like
I still went to Motley Crue.
Sorry,
I mean, shitty as it is, I just still went.
But I mean,
I wonder. Speaking of Motley Crue, let me throw this in real quick before I forget.
Vince is still fat.
No. I was scrolling through Twitter, and Tommy Lee posted, people who get offended at seeing titties at a Motley Crue concert is like going to Cheesecake Factory and get offended because you saw a cheesecake.
Okay.
Well, see, now he's all pissed off.
I'm glad that we didn't have to see anything else at Tommy's this time.
Well, he's pissed because he can't do his Instagram cockstagram or whatever you want to call it. But the funny thing is now he's at what For Your Eyes or whatever it is. For $39 a month, you can follow Tommy Lee on this new thing where he's just like going to show his dick like every morning. This is wake up. Oh, I'm Tommy Lee.
He did his thing. We'll get back to you in just a second. He did this thing the other day.
No, I'm enjoying the cock talk. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he did this thing the other day where he's like, they showed a clip of him at a concert, and he's like, anybody want to see my wiener? And he makes this big deal about the wiener thing. He talks about it, and he pulls a dog out. He pulls out a dachshund out of his pants. And my wife's in there looking at it, and I'm like, okay, here we go again. I don't need the pressure.
You know what? Nobody questioned that he had a dog in his pants before he did it. So that shows you right there that it's like
the crowd's cheering, like, please show me. What?
Say that again, Don.
Those had to have been some really baggy pants, because he does have a lot of room in the front there, with his friggin' his mule down there. Plus he squeezed the dog in there too. I don't know.
The dog's like, look, I got a bone.
The dog's eyes are bugged out this far. I don't know where it was. I really don't. It might have been on the end.
I just did a whole kennel in my underwear.
Might have been like one of those erasers, the tops on the erasers or whatever.
All right.
I love how people were shocked that he tweeted out a picture of his dick. It's like, haven't we all seen it at this point? I mean, really?
I seen him honk the horn on his boat with his cock.
Everybody has.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I have not seen that. I will tell you.
Have you not seen that?
I don't, and I will not. I don't care to.
It's the funniest fucking shit ever. He goes, "Hey, baby, look at this," and he goes, "Bwomp."
Well, Bill, you've just set yourself up to be dick rolled.
Well, but if you can do that, you should show it. You absolutely should.
Oh, shit, I ain't hawking nothing.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, that's been an interesting conversation.
So
I don't even know where we were at. It's Don's here.
His penis co-wrote his autobiography with him. I mean, are we really shocked here? You guys ever read Tommy's book?
I did not.
No.
Yeah, the beginning of every chapter is his dick, like, summarizes what's going to happen in the chapter.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah.
It's got its own brain, regardless of what people think.
Yeah.
Lord. Oh my God.
Good gravy. Oh man. Hey, Creature Fest. We talked about that a little bit earlier, mentioned it. So what did you think about that?
Well, I wasn't there, but
you weren't there. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I mean, look, obviously for Kiss fans, there was a lot going on for them. Unfortunately, what I heard was it was a little bit of a, things got a little screwy there, and Vinnie Vincent was
Vinnie Vincent.
sort of things were not didn't go as smoothly as they probably wanted them to go. But Bruce Kulick, if you guys follow him,
oh yeah,
on social media, he wrote a really nice thing about it, and he said, despite it being chaotic, you know what, we had a really good time because it was a good thing for the fans that Bruce was there and Vinny was there and Ace was there, and so I think the spirit of it worked in that way, but logistically there's obviously some issues. I think Vinnie Vincent was behind some of that.
Yeah, he didn't just show up well, and the guy who ran that fest just had this cancer thing over the weekend, and Vinny was supposed to be the big
goodbye or something like that.
Kiss Cancer Goodbye, and Vinny was supposed to be the big main thing doing SR at the studio down there, and of course he didn't have enough time to get his band quite together like he wanted it to. Imagine that. It's a news flash for you. Vinny doesn't show up for another thing. So
this same guy hired Vinny again for this.
Yes. And then the same guy that put on this thing. And then they ended up getting Todd Kearns come in and did the show instead, which, he's solid. He's a great guy.
I'd see Todd again. I'd see Todd.
Oh, I would. I'd rather see Todd in the first place. I don't want to see some, somebody in a pantsuit noodling on a guitar. It doesn't do anything for me. Sorry.
Well, then they did a show where they recreated the Creatures of the Night tank,
right?
And then Vinny starts the show 15 minutes before the doors open, and he's sitting there shredding for 15 minutes, and then they finally open the door, so people walk in. The show's half over. He has no band, and then Bruce and Ace are trying to jump in. They don't, you guys know it's like there's got to be some counting in. Music is about timing, and I think they had a bit of a tough time, but like I said, Bruce said a lot of good things about it and said, hey, it really was a lot of fun despite it being hectic. So yeah, I think he wants to do it again, so we'll see what happens.
Bruce is a professional. He's gonna be above all that.
Well, he fit in on that whole thing, as far as confusing as it was, and the intros and these drum machines. No, Bruce is a super professional. Now Ace, he needs a little help, and he was like I think they said he was like the most lost. He was just like going, of course he can't hear anything in the first place, and he's like, Bruce, the Bruce he's a sweetheart. He's never, you've never heard a bad word from him about Kiss, and he probably got the shaft worse than anybody in the whole history of Kiss. To be honest.
Think about it. Of course,
Eric got back in. He lost it for a little bit, but he got back in. Bruce is just like, okay, I guess I'll go play with another band for a while.
Well, they recorded a whole album that got put on the shelf for years because of that MTV Unplugged, and that opened up the floodgates for the fans, and that's why they don't entertain it anymore. They've got to sell this never ending end of the road tour. And, they always say, oh, these guys are welcome to come down and hang, but they're not going to, you got to get together. You got to rehearse, again, you can't just throw something together like that, especially with Kiss fans. You want to do it the right way. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see if the tour ever ends. We'll see if Ace and my man Peter over there,
Yep.
do it again. But I saw Peter recently, actually, backstage at Rob Zombie here in Jersey. And man, he looked great, man. He's in great spirits. And he told me that he's going to be making some new music soon. So that's really cool.
Cool. Yeah. And he's only like about to click 80, right? Something like that.
He's like 76, I think.
77, something like that. Yeah. It's crazy. Man.
Yeah, but he looked good. He looked really, really good and healthy. And, he's got a wife who adores him, so she takes care of him. And, I don't think, he played a show in New York City with this band from Australia, but yeah, I don't think he has any desire even to go back on the road again. So, we'll see, but hopefully get some music out of Peter.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Be a good deal. I had a question for you too about the, so at the Rockin' Pod in 2021, I just laughed myself silly after the Saturday night when we were sitting there doing the Kiss Meets the Phantom.
Yeah.
Well, how much prep time did you do for that? Any?
Well, I watched it. I mean, again, because I hadn't seen it in 25 years.
Well, there's no reason to watch it more often. I mean, really, let's be, once every 25 years.
I saw it once. Why should I watch it again?
Well, listen, when I was a kid, man, I was all in on Kiss. Kiss could do absolutely no wrong forever and ever, and until that movie. Even my young self was like, all right.
He jumped the shark.
I don't know what a jump the shark is, but I think he just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about exactly what I remembered, so but we had a lot of fun with it, which was cool. And even Paul Stanley said something about it recently, sort of their redheaded stepchild or whatever, that they've come to appreciate over the years. But it is what it is. They're a rock band. Making movies is a totally different situation, and getting up early and going to the set and all that stuff, that's definitely not for everybody, especially Ace.
Though, really, I mean, I know that the movie is cheesy and kind of just, but the thing is, look back in the 70s, other TV made movies, they were all like that. They were all cheesy as fuck. I mean, they were cheaply made. The acting was so. The music was stupid.
It's totally actually rationalizing this.
No, I mean, it is. Like, other than it has a band in it, I mean, it is your basically typical, ABC movie of the week kind of bullshit. I mean, there was a lot of trash made in the 70s, so it just fits right in. To be honest,
I all I know is I was singing "Rip, Rip, Rip and Destroy" the whole weekend.
Yep.
That is so cool.
Oh man,
Star Child.
That's so Devereaux.
Gene's brother is an only child.
Man, crazy stuff. So what else you got coming up, man? Where's your? You got some live shows coming up, don't you?
Yeah, I got some shows coming up in Vegas. I'm also, as I mentioned earlier, I do my comedy albums with Metal Blade Records. And it's their 40th anniversary of being around as a record label, which is incredible. And actually, because of the vinyl geek that I am, this was the very first thing that Brian Slagle, who owns Metal Blade, put out this vinyl called Metal Massacre. And he did I think 9 or 10 of them in the early days of Metal Blade. But this is the very first album that Metallica ever appeared on.
Oh, nice.
Wow. How cool.
Now, this is the reissue that just came out to celebrate the 40th anniversary. But if anybody has the original of this, which is, if you have this, it's definitely worth a lot of money. Metallica was spelt incorrectly.
Wow.
Oh,
It was spelt with 2 T's and 2 L's. So they finally, after 40 years, they got the name spelled correctly. But yeah, you got Steeler on there, which is, Ron Keel.
yeah.
You got
Black
Malice.
and Blue.
Yeah, Rat, Black and Blue. And so, it's kind of all over the place.
That's pretty cool.
On here. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to host a couple of concerts for those guys coming up in Vegas, Sacred Reich, and another one. And I'll be hitting the comedy clubs out there. And then, just wherever, all over the country, wherever they'll pay me to go, I'll go.
Hopefully, they can pay you to come to Indiana sometime.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
I'd like to see you soon.
I was in Indianapolis a couple of months ago for the Days of the Dead convention.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We
I didn't
did.
know that.
Me and Florentine did a comedy show there. They call it the Dead Comedy Jam, and so we did that. And I did the same one in Atlanta a few months before that, and I performed with Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Dynamite.
Did you pay him the big money to say Dynamite?
No, he says it in the commercial, so which means they paid him a lot of money because
There you go.
he won't say it on stage.
Nope.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
I had
heard,
heard
that
that-
he wanted $5,000 to
Yep.
say Dynamite for you. I don't know. if
That's
No
what
true or
I read
not.
that. I read that too.
No shit. I didn't know that.
I read it on Facebook, so it must be true.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey,
No fake news there.
Yeah, they're in Wikipedia.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. So I did like 20 Dynamite puns when I went up there because I knew he wasn't going to do them. So, but it was fun. It's like a horror convention, but then they have like different pop culture people. And then we had a rock room. So it was like me, I was signing in there before the show, and Corey Taylor was in there, Phil Anselmo. So there was a ton of metal people there, and they all came to the show. And then like all the old people who liked old sitcoms and stuff, they all came out to the show.
Right.
And when the guy asked me, and I loved that show when I was growing up. I loved Good Times. So I was happy to work with him, but I was like, it's kind of a weird combination. I asked the guy, I go, so you want me to work with Jimmy? I go, who canceled? That's what I got. You got an old sitcom legend and a heavy metal prank calling comedian from Jersey on the same bill. But I figured, hey, cool, I'll do 30 minutes. I'll open up for him, and then he can knock him down. But about an hour before the show, he came down to say hi to me, and he was very, very nice. And he said, hey, his manager's like, listen, Jimmy's 74. The show's not till 10 o'clock. He's kind of tired. Do you mind if he goes up first and does his thing, and then he'll bring you on? You could do whatever you want. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go after Jimmy. Some of these convention people, they come for those specific people, right? But it was cool because, like I said, all the metalheads came out too, and it ended up being really fun. He went up and he did great, and he gave me a really nice intro. He told the crowd, I've worked with this guy a million times. He's going to rock your world. Meanwhile, I never met him in my life. And it was cool. Phil Anselmo sat right in the front, and I busted his balls so hard, he walked out like halfway through.
That's funny.
Well, he probably knows it's coming, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know what you should have did, Donald? Like with him not saying Dynamite without getting paid, you should have walked out there like, but whenever you're both on stage and have like a Acme looking like a piece of dynamite with that, and say,
Oh, yeah.
what is this?
Just played it up, see what he'd say.
It's just like going to say, hey, I don't know, it's TNT, I guess.
TNT.
There you go. But anyway.
Exactly.
Well, Don, we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
Tell the people again the name of the album and where they can find it.
Yeah, we're asking people kindly, if they enjoy this kind of immature humor, to pre-order this, which you can do on any of my socials or Jim Florentine socials. The single COVID Mask is out now that you can download and stream. We want this to go to #1 when it comes out on Friday, September 16th. Terrorizing Telemarketers, Volume 7. My parents are very proud, and it was good hanging out with you guys again. We will have to do our now. It'll be tradition. Our mandatory patio beer, drink, and hang at Rock and Pod this year.
I'll bring some Mad Dog. I'll bring some Mad Dog.
That's it. That's everyone's assignment. All right, Alan, you get the Irish Wild Rose. Who found the Mad Dog? Dennis, you know where the Mad Dog is.
I'll do the Mad Dog.
You get the Boone's Farm, and I'll bring a rotary phone.
Great. I get the Boone's Farm. Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
All right. Hold on a minute, Don, while I take us out of here. Y'all visit agesofrock.com. Check out our social media links and our past episodes. And until next time, peace out. Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.